All right. Hey, everyone. This is Patrick Barrett. We're going to get started now. Thanks for joining. Definitely looking forward to going through kind of 2012 in review and going through all the new features and ways to improve your workflows. So my name is Patrick Barrett. I know a lot of you who are out there. I help run our wholesale product here at ShipCompliant. I've been here just over 3 years. And I'll be joined by Jeff Carroll, who's the VP of Compliance here. He's going to help us talk about TTB, our relationship with TTB. And, our purpose today is to really show you actionable ways to improve your use of ShipCompliant. So I'll be demoing all the new features that we came out with and suggesting ways to make your day-to-day use of ShipCompliant just easier, because that's really our goal here. Just some logistical stuff real quick. There's the GoToWebinar software is running on the right side of your screen. You can minimize that by using those arrows that point inward and outward. And remember that you're muted, so you can hear me. I can't hear you, but you can still communicate with us by sending questions in to us using that panel on the right side. So at the end of the webinar, we'll be having a question and answer session. So keep your questions coming the entire time. We'll be monitoring them, and we'll go through and answer those for you at the end. So just a high level, I'll go over the agenda real quick. We're going to start with TTB and how our relationship with them has matured over the last year, and as well how they have kind of tweaked their requirements for COLAs. And then I'm going to demo our COLA filing tool that we've developed within ShipCompliant. I'll also go over some of the top features of the year and how they relate to data management and some account level settings that are specific to different clients and different licensees out there. We'll also go over registration. So all the data management is directly going to impact output from ShipCompliant, specifically registrations and price postings and your state monthly reports. Also highlight the changes to product registration online and how we're integrated with that so that you can send registrations to the states. Finally, we'll kind of all wrap it together with how these improvements are making your day-to-day easier. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff, and we'll jump into the TTB stuff.
Thank you, Patrick. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being with us today. My name is Jeff Carroll, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about TTB. As a reminder, if you have questions, please type them into the question and answer feature of GoToWebinar. And we'll try our best to get to as many questions as we can today. We're also going to be making these materials available after the webinar, so we will be sending those out via email. We at ShipCompliant, one of our main goals is to always be a good listener, and we hopefully ask you frequently what's on your mind, what's important to you, and how can we make your life easier. One of the things that came up several years ago pretty consistently was a frustration with the COLA process. And that came in two forms. Number one, COLAs online was very challenging to use, from image manipulation to kind of multi-screen process and all these different types of things. We heard that this was a less than ideal experience. Also, obviously, approval times were a challenge for people. And so we came up with the idea of creating this COLA tool that could be fully really integrated into ShipCompliant, since that's where all of your data lives, and hopefully could assemble these COLAs and establish a COLA workflow that would make it much easier for you to submit COLAs to TTB. So we approached them told them about these things, and convinced them that we should collaborate to allow you to submit your COLAs from ShipCompliant. We signed a contract with TTB. Contract has a couple of different components to it, but one of the things that it does is allow us to submit those COLAs. So hopefully that tool provides a much better experience for you in terms of filing COLAs, saving them, the things that Patrick's going to show you today. Also, hopefully that it makes the approval process easier for you, because you've already gone through the kind of the top 20 mistakes that people make, and you've done some additional checking so that when you submit it to TTB that it's going to be approved the first time. So since we first went to TTB, and you've been reading the news about this, I'm sure, for the last couple of years, they have put out a series of announcements that effectively are kind of relaxing the pre-approval process. They're making it easier to work with COLAs online, and they're also making changes such that not as many COLAs need to be submitted each year. So the slide in front of you shows the most recent announcement that they made. They made based on industry feedback, and we've been part of the groups that have been working with TTB to try to improve this process. Based on industry feedback, they provided a series of allowable revisions such that if you qualify for these revisions, you don't have to resubmit a COLA. Okay, so here's an example. This is a COLA. On the left, the original COLA, and on the right on the left is the original label. On the right is the new label. As you can see, it's completely different. It's different art. It's different design. Obviously, it even moves to a different tax class. It moves from 13.5 to 15% alcohol. So all of these changes would be allowable under the new rules. And hopefully these changes that TTB is out there educating people about these allowable revisions, and hopefully that causes less COLA submissions, and also therefore makes the turnaround times much easier. So the next step, TTB has been very honest about this process. They really want to move away from the pre-approval process. They don't want to have to spend so much time reviewing labels as they come in. And so I think they're going to continue to work with the industry groups. We're going to continue to work with them, but you should definitely expect that TTB over the next couple of years is going to make some additional changes to this process. And really they would like to move away with pre-approvals altogether, potentially go to more of an FDA model where the label can be assumed to be valid, and you can put it in the field accordingly. The thing to keep in mind is that as they're doing that, as they're changing the pre-approval requirements, it's not changing the laws in any way. So what's happening really is the enforcement is moving from the pre-approval process into the field. So even though you get a valid COLA, that doesn't mean that you're not still subject to the same scrutiny in the field. So the feedback that we've gotten from a lot of our clients is that they look at the COLA as kind of an insurance policy, and want to make sure that they, when they have that pre-approval, that it's also going to withstand scrutiny in the field. So we think that this tool that we've developed is going to become more and more valuable as these requirements change up front. You can go through the additional optional checks that Patrick's going to show you and have a lot of confidence that it's going to withstand the scrutiny in the field. So we're going to keep you up to date. We're going to continue to work with TTB on this process, but we thought that you should be aware of a lot of these things that are going on at TTB right now. Obviously, one of the bigger concerns that people have is, okay, if they do away with, this current pre-approval process for COLAs, how does that affect the state registrations? Because of a lot of the state agencies rely on the images and the pre-approved COLA from TTB when they're going through their registration processes. So that's something that they're aware of, the states are aware of. We're also helping to try to bridge that gap where we can. So if you have any concerns, if you have any feedback, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and hopefully, we can make this transition as easy as possible for you.
Great, thanks, Jeff. With that, I'm going to kind of jump into a demo and show you how the tool in ShipCompliant works, and some of those checks and validation points that Jeff was saying will, make any checks in the field that much more less frequent. So this is the ShipCompliant homepage. Remember, all these panels are editable, and you can move them around, and you can add and remove any number of modules or panels here. But from the homepage, there's a few quick links. One of them is for our COLA filing tool. So I'm just going to click that straight from the homepage. The reason we're starting with TTB in this webinar is because that's really when the product to market lifespan, the process, really hits the compliance department. I mean, the first thing you got to do is get a COLA. So this is a one-page, form as opposed to a three-page form that TTB has. So we've condensed it to one page, and then there's a few checks and balances in here. So you can always edit your serial numbers. We default the first two numbers to the year. Product type, I'm going to choose wine, 13%. Class type, which ultimately the TTB will assign, domestic versus import. My brand, fanciful name if you'd like, and then I'll put in an appellation. So I'm going to put in a vintage here and a varietal. Again, very user-friendly. One of the updates to TTB with COLAs Online is that you can send notes to the specialist. So we've incorporated that here. This will be displayed to whoever ends up reviewing your COLA application. Another interesting thing is that if you have a vintage and you try to save, you can see that an appellation is required. So we have kind of checks and balances built in for anybody who's new to submitting COLAs, or you just may overlook it. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to upload some images. Oh, and I already have a serial number under that number, so I'll just swap that out. All right, so adding images is much easier than on the TTB website. You can actually compare the dimensions that you've entered, which is this dotted line, to the image that you've selected. And so right off the bat, I can see I entered the wrong dimensions, and they're actually 2.88 by 6.25. And I can expand that. That looks much better, so I'll save that. You can view them. You can review what it looks like before you actually submit. And you can add multiple images. Again, another way that we're helping you reduce the chance for needs correction or any scrutiny in the field is with supporting documentation. So we ask a series of questions. Is this wine organic? How does the bottle look? As you answer these, we'll recommend some documents to upload. And then finally, when you review and submit, there's an option here to verify your content. Feedback from the TTB and the folks there who review the COLAs are that there's a number of things that they often look for when they first start reviewing an application. So that's what we're kind of jumping off of, is where's the government warning? And you can highlight this for them. It's right here in the bottom left. When you save, it's a little snapshot and you can see where it's located. Are the dimensions or the font of the government warning large enough? There's a certain size they have to be. Verifying the brand, verifying the appellation, vintage. So everything that they're looking at anyways. Continue with submission, and you can go in and submit to TTB. So I'll save this one. I'm not quite ready to submit. And you can kind of queue up any pending COLAs you have, which is nice. Also, if there's multiple individuals at your organization who submit to TTB, you can combine that list in one nice place. You can also prepare some of these pending COLAs that have been submitted to TTB. You can start preparing them for state registrations, which gives you a jump start on state approvals. You can assign distributors. You can upload any sort of documentation that might be required. And really, once it's approved by TTB, it's just a matter of clicking, generate your packet, and you're ready to go. Also wanted to just show you when you use the validation tool, there is an additional document that's actually sent to TTB, and it's just a supporting document. And it's a nice format. It's a checklist that you've pretty much made with, this is the government warning, this is where the brand is located, alcohol content. And we like to think that when TTB sees this coming through, they know, all right, there's already been kind of a pre-validation that you've gone through, and it makes it that much easier for them to approve it. Again, keep your questions coming. There's some good stuff coming through. Definitely appreciate that. But from here, I'm going to kind of jump into the next section, which is some of our new features. So back at the home screen, a lot of our features this year are surrounding managing your data more efficiently and just easily, so that you don't lose sight of what's in your account and ultimately what's appearing on output on your registrations and reports and price postings. So I'm going to touch on some improvements we made to the Setup tab. Setup is where all the data that you've already entered lives and can be manipulated. A little bit different than the Wholesale Wizard, which there's some quick links here, also available under the Wholesale Wizard, under the Compliance tab, where we prompt you to enter required data. I'm going to click into Licenses. And one of the big changes we made was the use of custom licenses. And when you add a new license, the first option for every state now is going to be custom. And just want to remind you that these other three that are available for Colorado are what we consider required licenses. So we have kind of default or commonly used for Colorado. You can always view the entire list, but those first three are the ones that we prompt you for, and then you can select custom. I've already created one here for California. So I'm located in Colorado, my test winery, my demo winery. I have a tasting room in California, so I have a license there. And I've set this up as a custom license called California Tasting Room. It's actually a different name on the license, licensee name. So that's what I want to appear on any if I had any output, such as reports or registrations, I'd want this licensee name. This DBA actually is not just specific to custom licenses. It's another feature that we came out with this year, which is you can specify this DBA or licensee name, and it's going to populate your reports and registrations. It's kind of a trump card, so it's going to overwrite what you have in your account settings for that specific state, for that specific license, whatever it's ultimately going to show up on. So the name and the address are the two data fields that are used for that. But for this custom license, I have a license number. I've added some comments here. It's used in our tasting room in the city. And then I have a tag in case you have several tasting rooms. You can tag those and kind of group all those together. And what's nice is all of this appears right here on with a kind of a quick reference from the main page of licenses. There are my comments. Here's the name that I gave it, the DBA. Also, it's expiring, so those automatically change. The status is approved, but we kind of highlight it as expiring. Another kind of best practice is you can see here in Colorado I have an expired license from 2011, and then my current license, which is expiring. It's always good to retire these, and it's a status that's still referenceable in the future because you can filter these back in, and you can always have reference to that document, the license document, and over the years you'll be able to get a good view of where you were licensed in the past, and if any state comes back and wants an image of that license, you have it. So moving away from licenses, there are some updates to the labels and COLAs. You have the option now to print COLA documents in bulk. So you can select multiple based on a brand or based on a varietal or any sort of information, and you can download these 3 that I selected in bulk to a PDF. And this might be useful for your sales team or for sometimes if it's an import for customs, they need an image of that. But, sorry about that. So you can print multiple at once and then send them off to individuals in the organization. And then the other feature is the option to retire distributors. This was really important to some of our clients because they don't want to just delete previous relationships they had. They'd like to keep that information in ShipCompliant. So similar to retiring a license, hiding different things, labels and COLAs, you can do that with your distributors, your customers as well, and get back to them if you need to with a simple filter. Some of the other changes that we made are in the Wholesale Wizard, so I'm going to click over here. Under my distributor territories, we made some changes to Tennessee. You're only able to select 4 regions in the past. We've added all the counties in Tennessee because we understand that there's an appointment letter that you need to send to the states, which is leading me into another big feature we came out with this year, custom appointment letters that are automatically created and used or included in your registration packets. A lot of our clients requested this because it's just one little thing that they have to do outside of ShipCompliant and upload as a supporting document, and it's a few extra steps. So even something as small as adding these counties and adding that custom appointment letter may seem small, but in the long run, it's saving you a lot of time over the course of the year. So just to kind of show you what the appointment letter looks like, for Tennessee, we have all the legalese at the top. This is the product that I created, and then I just have a handful of counties that it's used in or sold to. I have my information, the wholesaler information, and these letters are unique every single packet because it has product and wholesaler information. So the fact that we can create them for you is valuable because I think a lot of people just had a template. They went in and had to adjust it every time and then save it and manually add it to the packet. And then one other area that we've improved is managing your territories. Step 10 of the Wholesale Wizard is a pretty powerful step. It actually ties a lot of your data together. It's looking at a particular brand. I have 26 labels or colas, and then all the products that are associated to those are represented here. And then a list of all the states, all the distributors, and all the counties that I'm in. So when you check this box, it's doing a lot. It's really telling ShipCompliant where you're active. It's also a lot of data that's pulled together. We added an export here, export all brand territories. And essentially what this looks like is a big Excel spreadsheet with all the states listed along the bottom, all the territories, all the brands, and it's access to the data that you have in ShipCompliant. What's nice is we have a couple filters here for is the brand overlapping in a territory, and this is valuable because in certain states that's not allowed, and so you can reference to see does yes show up anywhere, and kind of an audit for yourself or for whomever at the organization. And another easy way to just double check this is in our map view. We have a distributor map view. These are the only states that I distribute in. You can drill down, see on a brand by brand basis who is represented by which distributor, and if something is overlapping, it's real easy. You can click on Bartow and see Atlanta World Liquor and Georgia Crown both have a particular brand, and actually I'll just filter this down. It's the same, but you can fix these in your account when you see what's overlapping. And there's some other cool ones here too. You can see which states you sell the most to. So those individuals using us for just reporting, there's some good visibility into what's happening over the last 90 days. And I'll also show you some other reports kind of later on in the webinar. Also wanted to highlight the account settings. This is where you can drill down into product registrations, and this is where you can activate those custom appointment letters. It's under the paper submission settings. Right now I have 2 enabled for Connecticut and Missouri. Tennessee is the other state that we can do custom appointment letters, as I mentioned before, and you can kind of get just a view of what it's going to look like. And since this is custom, you can change the intro and the closing. So right now, Tennessee doesn't really have that, but the other states do. Oh, I have to agree to terms and conditions. A few other things that we added, or maybe that you just don't realize exist in here, is the way product details show up on cover letters. You can add a footer with perhaps your address that'll automatically be populated on the cover letter. All of these settings, and I suggest after the webinar just going through and making sure that they're right for you, they're all designed to make the output for registrations as clean and as relevant to your organization as possible, so you don't have to make any tweaks, you don't have to edit any cover letters, you don't have to include or exclude any forms, try to save paper or try to save any state-by-state manual changes. So a lot of the options here are specific to that. With that, I'm going to move into registrations and show you how some of these registrations are, or some of these settings and features are used. I'm going to go to the Manage Registrations page. Some of the main features that we came out with in 2011 I'll use today and show you the features from 2012, but they've all been refined as well. So we've made these pages more usable with bulk actions, new bulk actions, and the process to make registrations, what we call Product Registration Express, which I'm showing here, we've made some improvements as well. So I'll highlight those. I'm going to choose a revision, and I'm going to find the COLA that I want to register. I can search by a brand, or I can just look at complete labels, which means it's approved by TTB and it has a product already associated to it. And I'll add it to my registration. So on revisions, we've made a few changes here. You may be using an old COLA, but the image has changed. Maybe it just has a different year on it, or perhaps it has some major graphics changes as Jeff displayed. You have the option here to edit it and add that new image. For Connecticut, this is really valuable because they want the old and the new image on a separate piece of paper. So, we're smart enough to know, yeah, there's an old image from the COLA. This is a new one you're uploading, and we'll separate them out on 2 separate pages for Connecticut. This exclamation is going to show up for all revisions. It's just kind of a reminder that you may need to tweak the label images. And then this option is new as well. So we would hope that you're always using the original COLA, but this might be the revised COLA, and you want to specify what the original was. So for this revision, you may indeed have an old COLA and you got a new one. You want to link those two together so we can reference the label images correctly. So I'll continue on through here. I'm going to look for Tennessee since I just activated those territories. We have 3 types of packets. Georgia has been changed to an Efile packet because they just switched everything online, which was difficult at first, but I think they are approving COLA registrations pretty quickly now, which is good. And then we have our product registration online states that we're integrated with Pro, and we can submit to states via Pro. Also notice Arkansas is available. That's a new state that came out this month. Also want to mention that Virginia, they're very picky with their label images. We put in a lot of effort to make sure that the images are displayed on one page in a certain order, all in the same direction, so that when they upload it to their website, it's acceptable. So I'll continue. I already have all my distributor relationships with this brand, Amazing Wine, set up in my Wholesale Wizard, so I'm able to fly through here. If you have a new brand, you only got to do this once. You can do it in the Wizard, or you can do it here, but it remembers what you've done. And then territories, maybe there's a small tweak you want to make. Again, we're pulling everything from the Wizard for my Amazing brand, Amazing Wine brand. And then why is this a revision? So let's just say there was a major increase in the alcohol by volume. All right, so I'll do that. So as that's generating, for our pro states, I just want to highlight that using product registration online is designed to make it faster for you and to make it faster for the states. So you can submit directly from ShipCompliant into all the different states. It's the process we just went through, selecting your label and then selecting, what it is you're doing, what the products are, what the different sizes are, and, ultimately it's just in the process of your paper packets, you're also going to be able to organize the data, and instead of submitting via paper, you're just submitting electronically directly to the state. The idea is it's faster for approvals, obviously. Getting into Illinois is a good test case because It took 6 to 8 weeks for paper. It's 2 days on average for pro. As you can see, you can communicate back and forth with the state. Approvals come back automatically, and ultimately getting to the end, the consumer is the goal that much faster. So from a high level, time to market is nice, but the folks who are here today, it's your time that it's saving, because you don't have to deal with approvals coming back in. You don't have to deal with paper packets. It's really making your life easier, getting them out the door faster and more efficiently. So these registrations have been completed. I'll just kind of highlight a few of these. Illinois, my license is not valid. I have my old last year's license, so it's a check to make sure that nothing is going to come back as approved, rejected, or needs correction. I can toggle between the states here, and this is a paper packet. It has a missing license document, so Tennessee does require an image of a license. If you have it uploaded as a document under Setup Licenses, we'll automatically include it in here. Again, the point is that we're looking for things that might be missing. Always check your instructions too. I mean, this is a list of bullets that are included and then important information on a state-by-state basis. And then Georgia is Efile. So just to highlight the Efile functionality, it looks a lot like the other states, but when you click Efile, it says you must log into Georgia. So in the background, ShipCompliant is still running here, but you need to go onto the Georgia website. Florida, Rhode Island, Michigan are the same way. You log in, you do your thing, you upload a PDF, which our PDF that you print off from ShipCompliant is acceptable. Use your credit card to pay for the registration. When you're done, you can close this. Back in ShipCompliant, when you say you're done, we ask you, what did you just do? Well, I uploaded, I maybe notes to whomever you send it to. It's definitely worth putting your confirmation number in for Georgia, because Georgia doesn't really name that confirmation number in the approval. They just put the number, so it's good to reference it back in ShipCompliant to confirm, yeah, this number that's approved in the completed tab is for this packet. And then additional documents, internal documents. This is something that's new as well this year. If you have perhaps a copy of the check or a receipt from your credit card, or if you're mailing something and it's the FedEx slip that you have, you can upload that document every time you submit and then reference it later on if need be. Also under registrations, I just want to touch on price posting a bit. One change that we made is this ability to hide states. We have a pretty thorough list of states that require price posting. And that's because there are many different, depending on how you're licensed and how your organization is structured, is going to impact who sends those postings to the state, or to a distributor, or to your representative, a broker, whoever. So you may know in Iowa, our salesperson always handles that. And so you want to hide Iowa. You want it to be kind of out of sight, out of mind. And you can always reference your hidden states. Any comment that you enter is going to show up as well. So you can see, yeah, my salesperson handles price posting. And so you know that it's hidden for a reason. Also, just wanted to remind you that you can use ShipCompliant for all your standard quotation forms through the price posting module. Mississippi, Pennsylvania, the control states, they require that so that you can have your items listed with the state. It's editable as well, so if there's something that needs to be changed or we don't really know what the weight is or the pallet configurations, you can enter those in. But this is really useful for getting your items into some of the control states. For Pennsylvania, we have their specific form, New Jersey specific form, but this is the form that we've created for most of the control states. So with that, I just wanted to kind of reinforce the purpose today. Hopefully you found some of the features here that have plagued you in the past or taken some of your time in the past, and just knowing that they're available is going to save you time. Less paper is one of our goals as well, and so I suggest definitely going through the account settings, really sitting down and considering your COLA application process, because when the industry kind of was going back to TTB and asking for a solution, it was 30 plus days to get approvals. I know it's already dropped down to, it kind of moves around 20 now. So we've already seen an improvement, and that's 20 extra days of waiting around for a product to get registered in the States. So if you can tweak that, if you can make a change in your organization, it's really going to help a lot. Also, providing visibility to you and your organization is something else that's really going to help streamline not only your day-to-day, but also hopefully you can see some trends that are happening. There's a lot of data in your account, as I mentioned before. Displaying them to you in a usable way is something that we try to do from the analytics reports. So we have direct-to-consumer, we have wholesale reports. I'm just going to touch on a few of these. Some of the new ones that we came out with, you can export a list of all of your labels, which is nice. I mean, you currently cannot export those directly from the Setup tab. You can also see which labels are expired, expiration date, is complete, is hidden, right? So you can make sure nothing's gone expired for COLAs. Another really useful one that we had requested from us is current product registrations, which displays to you a time to market. And this concept of time to market is really, when does a COLA enter the compliance department at your organization? Well, it's really when the COLA is submitted to TTB or when it's approved. That's when you can start acting upon it. So for this particular example, on 6/5, back in June, this COLA was approved. Took a few months for either me to make it a priority to register it, or perhaps somebody in marketing or your manager asked you, yeah, we've gotten approval to go ahead and get these into the states. I'm looking at Connecticut right now, which is an expensive state, so it may take some time to decide that. So 126 days between June and then once I created it, I submitted it immediately. It took 9 days for Connecticut to get back, which is pretty fast. And so the total days from the COLA approval to the state approval was 135. That's a number that you want to see kind of decrease, and ways to do that is perhaps using Pro, or if you find a gap between the date created and the date submitted, a few days there might alert you to a change that you can make, in your office. Also, there's a license summary, so you cannot export licenses from the Setup tab, but we do have this really neat view for all your licenses. I have it defaulted to not expired. You can look at everything. You can do it by tag, tasting rooms, type, region, whatever you like, you can filter. And I didn't mention this before, but all these are exportable into different formats. So a PDF, an Excel file, and you can use that once a month or whatever you feel is useful for you to review all of your licenses. Of course, we're sending you an email alert, which you should be subscribed to, and the email alert lets you know you can choose your frequency 30, 60, 90 days prior to expiration. Kind of reminds you to kick off that renewal. Also want to touch on some of the sales and marketing analytics. So one thing about ShipCompliant is, everything that you're doing is captured, and just to really kind of add another arrow to your quiver, you can use these analytics to provide information to your coworkers or your sales team or your managers or yourself on how to on what you're doing. If you use us for reporting, we have a distributor order frequency. This may or may not be available in your order management system, but you can see in 2012 I only have orders for 2 months, November and June, and you can kind of drill down and see between the 2 months on a month-to-month basis what your numbers were for a particular state, for a particular distributor. You can also look at the top selling products and I have it defaulted to a start and end date, so I'm just looking since September. These are all my top products, how many orders, the quantity, the number of bottles, the sales, average price. So this can be really useful for you. Again, exportable, you can send it to whomever. And then we have wholesale sales analysis by state. So what are my top states? Tennessee is big for me, Georgia. I'm sure most people would be California or New York are the bigger ones, but you can break it down on a state-by-state basis. Who are you selling to and how much? I wanted to remind you that you have unlimited help and support. So directly from your ShipCompliant account, if you hit My Support, you can send in questions, and those go directly into our client services queue. So there's about 7 of us here that see those. They come in. We're going to get back to you as soon as we can and answer your questions. But we're here to help. So keep us busy. We want to make it easier for you. Here's our contact information. Remember, you can email us at support@shipcompliant.com or call us. Again, thanks everyone for joining. I'll be getting in touch with anybody who we were not able to answer questions, and I hope everyone has a great holiday, enjoys their weekend coming up, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.